Hey, this is Matt from the Woodworking Nook. Today we're going to be making a gate for the top of the stairs out of maple 1x4s. Stay tuned. Alright, so we're starting out with some maple 1x4s. Now these are about 10 feet long each and have been surfaced on all four sides. I just got these from a local lumber supplier nearby. We're just rough cutting them down to size. We'll cut the exact size later on, but just kind of trying to get these down to a more manageable size. So the next cut that we're going to be doing is we're going to be ripping these down to 1.5 inches in size for each of the spindles. Now this is one of the hardest cuts with a track saw, mainly because you don't have enough surface area to lay the track down. So what we do here is we add painter's tape to similar sized pieces of wood. That way we have a nice large surface area for the track to lay down on. And then we use a combination square to distance the track. And you just want to be sure that you know that this is a waist side cut, meaning we have to account for the kerf of the saw blade in addition to the width of the piece that you're wanting to cut. So then we tape the next piece down. That way we can line up the track. And again, using a combination square that's set to the right size to line up that track quick and easy. That way we don't have to measure and mark out pencil lines each time we want to make a cut. And again, this is one of the greater downsides of a track saw compared to a table saw, but we do what we can. Personally, I think it's kind of fun to get in the zone and just kind of zone out and get all these cuts done. And it's kind of just a rinse and repeat process. Now on this last little bit, I just use all the cut pieces to kind of line up and give that track the surface area it needs to lay down properly. So the next step that we need to do is to create dados in the top and bottom of the gate. Right now I am making a very simple and quick jig to help guide the router bit. It's just comprised of 4 pieces of wood, and you tack in with 1 nail on all 4 sides to get the rough size of the piece of wood you're referencing, and then you twist it to get it to the exact size, as you'll see here. So once that's done, we line it up to cut each of the dados. Again, just using a flush trim dado bit in my router. And I did each dado in 1/8 inch increments as to not overwhelm the router. And we're just gonna check the fit. Fits perfectly. So now we're just going to go down the line and cut each of the dados that are needed. Just going to measure and cut. I would highly recommend creating a reusable dado jig. This one was kind of more work than it was worth. It didn't really work out very well, but it did the job. And now I have to flip the piece over to get that other side and finish up the dados. So the next thing we are going to do is cut the top and bottom piece out of the piece of wood that we just made those dados in. We're going to use the same process as before to rip this thing down the middle. And since our combination square has already been set for the previous spindles, this will be a pretty quick and easy cut. Just line it up and make that cut. Now we're gonna sand each of the spindles. I'm not too concerned about getting all those saw marks off of this. My blade was actually pretty dull, which caused a lot of those saw marks, but this is going to be painted, so I'm not overly concerned with getting all those out, just trying to make sure it's nice and smooth to the touch. Now once that's done, I'm going to get my router and put on my trusty router table to create a round over, just a small round over on each of the spindles. Now you want to be careful with this as to not get your fingers caught there, but I was comfortable with what I was doing and going nice and slow. Now after that was done, we got to cut each of the spindles down to the correct size. And I'm going to cut one side here to just get them all kind of squared up. This is a cool cut that you can do with the track saw. Just cut them all at once. It's kind of fun to do. Now I'm going to flip them all over and cut the other side to length. Just make sure to use a straight edge to make sure they're all lined up properly. I'm kind of pushing them together to get them clamped up as best we can. Again, measuring out the final length. And then lining it up on those pencil marks. Now we're going to dry fit everything to make sure it all fits. And then we're going to glue everything up. This glue up was a little tricky because of those, mainly because of those side pieces. They kept falling out on me. But you kind of want to go quick. I did end up using Titebond 3 to give me a little bit longer set time to get it all glued up. Just checking for square here. Next morning, came out and just cleaned everything up. and then going to clean up any extra glue that kind of squeezed out that got past me. Again, not overly concerned about it since this will be painted. Just gotta make sure they're all cleaned up. And once that was done, they were actually professionally painted along with those banisters there. And this is the finished project. Thanks for watching.